Man, it looks really custom.
Yeah,
I really like it.
I'm gonna put this material here. I'm gonna put on here too. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do. I'm probably gonna leave this black and do the leather around it all, and leave this black in the middle.
But do you use this car for competitions?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
I could. Well, I compete in the stereo competitions with it, but I also go to a lot of car meets. I'm the for this club right here, Elusive. I'm the Houston chapter lead of it. So I go to a lot of car meets and just open it up and let people look at it.
That's pretty badass. Even the shifter now is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I was like, I gotta get one of those.
Amazon, all this is a beer tap. They sell all kinds of them, Heineken, of course I went with that one because Texas, you know.
Yeah. Ooh, Keith brought the big guns out.
We got the glow, baby. Around the world. So, for you guys that don't know, this is called a term lab, right? And this is the sensor. This is what we use to measure how loud our sound systems are. So today, we're working on Chris Chavez's build. We just got done working on Gary's build, built some rings for him. So Chris has 412s on a 6th order bandpass, right? So that's a ported box inside of a ported box, right? Today we're gonna work on the front port opening, and you can adjust that opening to a certain size or space or whatever. And hopefully we can get it dialed in and make it a lot louder. That's the plan. So we're gonna put the meter in there, we're gonna test it right now, and then we're gonna start adding pieces, and as we add pieces, we'll keep testing. There's gonna be a point where we add pieces and it gets louder and louder and louder, and then we add another piece and then it gets quieter. And then we take that piece out and then we should be good, ideally, in theory.
Califactus punch.
I told you were getting at 12,000 watts.
Pretty good. So let's see.
Don't clear it.
I'm not clearing it.
I did a picture.
I'm not clearing it.
Pretty good starting point, huh?
Yeah, so I'll explain for you guys on the video. So this is the score. He did a 157.2 decibels, right? This is the wattage, so we have a little device that plugs into the amp and you can measure how much wattage. And then right here is the frequency that he did it at, so 32 hertz. So for being such a little car and only 412s, this is pretty impressive. So, and then this also has other information. So we can see the amps put out 118 volts, 108 amps. His rise was 0.9. So what I really want to do is I just want to do like a 4,000 watt burp. Because to do this testing, we don't have to do it full tilt. We can do it at like half power. So 4,000, 5,000 watts.
You want to try with the trunk open?
Yeah, try it.
I'm losing to the trunk.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
None whatsoever.
I want you to set the radio where you think it would be like halfway.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I just want like somewhere where you're safe, where like even if you play 12 hertz, it's not gonna hurt the subs. You know what I'm saying? Go up 2 clicks. That should be good. That's crazy. How many clicks did you go down? Like how many more clicks do you have to?
Like 9.
9 more clicks? Okay, go up 3 more clicks. You don't have to keep it on. Turn your bass knob down, go 3 clicks, and then just give me a burp.
Okay. Radio goes up to 50.
Oh,
I have
okay.
like 20 more clicks.
Okay, all right, so 38, that was volume 38? Okay, so I want you to do this. Play a 80 to 20 hertz sweep, and you could do it at 37, 38, so that way your voltage doesn't drop a whole lot. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna play a sweep. So it's gonna start at the higher frequencies and sweep down. And what it's gonna do is this is set on peak hold. You can see peak hold right there. So as the frequency, you know, as it plays all the frequencies coming down, this is gonna tell us what frequency plays the loudest. So we'll see in his other testing, it peaked at 32, but with this, we'll retest and see what frequency is the loudest, basically. much louder. Go left, 4 clicks down and then do it again.
Dude, this amp likes the load.
Oh, really?
It puts out way more power into the load.
That's good.
Start over?
Yeah. Yeah. Right, so that's how we know the front port needs to get dialed in. Because that stops at 80 hertz, right? Somewhere around 65 to 70 hertz, it was at like a 141.1, and then it started to come up like 2/10, and that was it, like all the way at 70 hertz. So as we shrink that front port, that's gonna bring that peak down, but it's also gonna help load on your lower peak. So, okay, that's good. That's good. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut just like little strips of wood, and we'll basically add like little shims to the port. So we'll put, you know, a piece on each side to make that port a little bit smaller, and then we're gonna do the same sweep again at the same volume, and we'll see, you know, watch the results and see if it gets louder or whatever. But really, we should be writing this down. So I'm gonna grab a notepad.
How many hertz does your truck do?
So mine, right now, it peaks at 36 hertz and it does about a 158 to on about like 7,000 watts, somewhere around there. So this is really close. I mean, he's got the same exact subs that I have, but he has 2 8,000 watt amps. I have just one 7,500. So he could definitely, after a little bit of work today, he might stomp all over me.
Going for that number.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'd like to see it.
Alrighty, Keith, so we adding some support?
Yep. So right now we just did a 3/4 inch strip on the bottom of the port and on the top. And right now that we have those in, we're gonna go and do another sweep at the same volume, and we're gonna see what the results are, compare it to the sweep before. It may not change much because it's just a small change, but I'd like to see just how it reacts, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Volume 33 or 32? 33? Okay, do 32 again.
We do a 15-second sweep, 30 seconds?
No. Okay. So it lost. It got quieter. But what we're really trying to figure out is with a 6th order box, you should have 2 peaks. So you should have a lower frequency peak, you should have a higher frequency peak. And right now, it's just hitting 1 peak frequency and it's not hitting the higher peak frequency. So even though we're losing right now, what it could be is that we'll get to a point where that higher peak is going to come in, you know, because right now it's at a really high frequency, and as we're shrinking that port, it's going to make the frequency lower. So as we make that frequency lower, even though our low peak is moving up, once we start to get where it needs to be, that low peak should come right back down. Like it's going to be weird for a minute. I need my tape measure. That's fine. We'll keep working on the low frequency tests. So we're cutting the wood into strips, and we're basically putting these pieces, we're adding these pieces to the sides of the ports, and so that's shrinking the port by 3/4 of an inch each time, and so we're making that port smaller and smaller and smaller, just piece by piece. So as we start shrinking it more and more, hopefully we'll see more changes, but already we're starting to see that we shrunk, like the first piece kind of made it lose a lot, but now we're starting to see it gain again, like it's starting to come back up. So that's the loudest number so far. The first burp was a 151.59, it's a 151.69, so there's 1/10. Peak went down to 30 hertz.
We're getting there, Keith. We're getting there.
Yep.
Hey!
Do 30 hertz.
30 hertz?
Yeah.
Looking, Keith.
So it did gain. Our best was a 157.56 on 8,900 watts. So originally when we first started, it was a 157.2 on 11,000 watts. So we only gained 0.3 of a dB, but it took 2,000 less watts. So you're gaining efficiency. So you're not really gaining a lot as far as the score, you're not gaining a lot, but efficiency you are gaining a lot, which is good. Say this is ghetto, but it's not ideal. You put it, what do you put it on 12 volt lithium?
No, yeah, 12 volt, yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, what I said.
Right.
You judging me?
A little bit, but that's okay, as long as it works.
It does. It's way easier than getting into my back batteries.
Yeah.
And attaching it to the alternator scares me.
Yeah, that's true.
Holy cow, look like these doors taking all the damage.
Yeah. Could be flipping. I mean, it's not very low stuff.
It doesn't like both windows. Door is doing great.
Yeah. That's what this door does.
Yeah. Your leg when it hits you.
So it definitely seems louder. It seems more musical, you know, so it plays all the frequencies a lot better. Not really a huge gain, you know, because we were hoping that shrinking that front port was going to help it gain a lot, but not a total failure, but not a total success, you know what I'm saying? So right now we're gonna measure up all the pieces that we had, and then instead of using individual pieces to make the port smaller, we'll just make one piece that slides in there, so it's a lot stronger. Yeah, so we just, we tried something different. Like before we were shrinking the port and making the area smaller, right? So instead we opened the port up and then we added some length to the port to tune it a little bit lower. And it seemed to help. We did see a little bit of a gain, but nothing dramatic, nothing too crazy. And then right now we're just kind of messing around, and what's happening is you can see, so this blue line right here is what the signal coming out of the amp. And whenever he does a burp, we were looking at it and it was clipped. So clipping is, you know, instead of the sine wave being really rounded and smooth, it'll kind of go up and then it's flat and then goes down, and that's what clipping looks like on a scope. And it's bad because that's what makes your speakers heat up and eventually could blow your speakers out. We were looking at that, adjusting the volume to see what volume it stops clipping at, and then we're also talking about the way you set amps. Sometimes you can set amps or with the car on at a higher voltage, but if you set it at that higher voltage, if your voltage ever drops, then the amp could start clipping, and that's what was happening with us. So a way around it is you could either turn your head unit down so you don't clip, you know, so you're putting out less signal but you're keeping the signal clean, or you can set your gains with the car off at a lower voltage. There's two different ways of going about it.
Let's see, I might be a little heavy.
Making stuff levitate. That was only 3,800 watts.
How many watts?
Like 37, 3,800. What volume was that?
40?
Okay. Let's still go.
One more?
Yep.
No clip? What the fuck? I don't understand. Please explain.
You think it was clipping because the trunk was open?
No. So,
Voltage, heavy voltage.
right.
You were dropping at 12.6 and now you're only dropping to 13.5.
Yeah, before, I mean, you were doing your burp, so your burp's a full sine wave, and you were at a higher volume, so the amp is going to produce more power. The more power the amp produces, the more the voltage drop. Now, you're sending less signal to the amp. The amp's not producing as much power, so it's not dropping as much voltage, and it's keeping your signal clean. A tiny bit of clip, but not like before. In there. Yeah, it's interesting to see that. Like I was saying, this is the voltage coming out of the amp, right? And then this is the amperage. The only way the amperage changes is how the subwoofer reacts in the box. So you can see, you know, everything's nice and smooth, and then we get here and all of a sudden it's got a dip. It's got a dip in the amperage. It's got a dip here. So the amperage is not staying smooth, but the voltage is staying smooth. So I don't know. It's weird, man. It's weird. Well, it is clipping a little bit. So you can see here, this is a good example. So if you look here, see how this line's not round? This right here, you can see how the top and the bottom of this wave is flatter than the rest of it, right? That's clipping. And then you can also prove that's clipping because of the amperage. So what's happening, if you can imagine, this sine wave is how the woofer moves. So this is 0, and the blue line makes that woofer move up and then down, up and then down. So as you're watching that, right? Mm-hmm. The amperage is how the subwoofer is reacting. So if this line is making the subwoofer go down and then it stays flat, it's trying to keep that subwoofer where it's at. It can't physically make the woofer move and stay in one spot because there's air pressure acting around it. So that's why you see this amperage curve follows the voltage, and once it starts to clip, that subwoofer, even though the voltage is trying to keep it where it's at, that subwoofer has air reacting against it. And so imagine this blue line is the signal that's going, and the purple line is how the subwoofer is actually moving. So it's moving down, and then the air pressure is making it want to move back up, and then the signal comes back. So that woofer's, instead of moving in and out smooth, moving a little bit and then coming back down. So it's not a good thing. Mm-hmm. Not a good thing.
The next day.
Míralo.
Echándole.
Pase vital para servir.
¿Qué onda? ¿Cómo la ves, Mike?
Salam, man.
Aquí echándole.
¿Dónde Danny Double Six?
Llegando de México.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Un Neutral lights for la negra.
Custom made, ¿verdad?
One off. Illuminations. Built them for me.
¿Ah, sí?
Color matched. Just for the truck.
Ala. Se avienta, se mira.
Y luego dijo, estas son las únicas que dicen, so no pregunten por ellas porque esta es nomás para este cliente.
Ah, cabrón.
So they were
Qué
exclusive
huele.
for just my truck.
No, pues esa troca trae todo para la troca.
Sí.
No hay otro igual,
No.
¿verdad?
No.
La negra es la negra.
Sí.
Y todos me dicen, ¿por qué la pusiste así? Pues que así le nombraron un día y se quedó.
Y me gustó, güey.
sí.
Vámonos.
Y se quedó la negra.
No, ahí está la mamalona. No, jala bonito. Jala bonito. Yo la saqué ya que la trajeron porque hay que calar el diferencial y todo, a ver si suena y esto y el otro. La saqué y le di a la vuelta y hombre, jala bonito, güey. Se siente bien diferente el poder de un turbo a un Procharged. Al pisoncito le piso un poquito y se quiere de volada. Y al turbo no, la plana así como que se tarda un poquitito y luego... O sea, también son diferentes, Hasta me gustó para la flecha.
No, de volada. Nomás le toca el piping y este es el bueno para eso.
Ah, pues estuviera bien. Algo leve. Y está bueno para manejarla a diario, no se calienta tanto. El turbo sí, olvídate, ese sí se calienta como para traerla y te toca el trafical por ahí en 45 aquí que tenemos, olvídate. Empieza la temperatura a subir. Sí.
Hay que ponerle un ojito porque no le hagan ojos.
¿Verdad? Sí.
¿Cómo ves jalezazo, Mike?
No, está bien perro. No hay. Todo el tiempo que se duró, pero un jale sose. Si quieren un jale así, pues ustedes saben dónde venir.
Eso.
Parece puro oro.
Sí.
No, vas a ver. Ya van llevándolos a los shows y van a decir, ay, canijo, ¿dónde? Y lo bueno que decidiste en hacerle las del cooling también.
Sí,
esa
porque...
le da otra vista más, ¿verdad?
Sí, porque puse un video donde estábamos todos y lo dije, pues miren lo que es el upgrade, ¿verdad? Ajá. Pero espérense. Entonces, ¿qué le van a hacer ahora? Y lo hice las water pipes y qué chulada. Sí. Es una diferencia.
Sí, como que no.
Yo cuando lo estaba haciendo dije, ¿qué cabrón con la base del agua con eso?
Y dice Daniel, ¿cómo? ¿Pero para qué? Pero se mire bonita la cabrón.
Yo pensaba que a lo mejor sí iba a ser fea la pipa o algo, pero...
No, está, mira. No,
Es
le digo
una
que el
idea
color
que
de-
se me pegó un día y dije, pues si hacen la wastegate pipe de teteño,
Sí.
¿por qué no pueden hacer uno de agua?
Sí, y esta de enfrente también se oye recio. La floja. Sí, se oye recio.
Y se acuerdan que yo la quería cambiar a la Precision.
Hombre, oh, sí, cierto.
Ahí están puestas.
Oye, bien maciza. ¿Se arremanga?
Le anda calando para ver si va a aguantar, a mí me hace.
¡Mamazón!
Lo que trajimos de México, guy. Nada más para cuando anda soleado, el hombre que se eche una mamazón.
Ya está para la carnita asada ayer. ¡Ey! Se ve bien duro la canija.
¡Oh, qué chulada!
Está brava la cabrona, ¿verdad?
Sí, no pensaba que se iba a arrancar esta remangada, pero...
Ahí en la salida se fue hasta la segunda, la quería quemar, bien feo.
¡Y! Pues ya se nos vayan.
Back home. Ahora sí que la disfrute bastante de lo bueno.
O si ya tómale las últimas fotos de hoy.
Yo sé, ya se va la negrita. Se vale llorar.
¿Verdad?
Ya casi. Aquí se hace porque se dobla la colita. Esta no se la va a poner atrás, no, es de ladito. A la oreja. Y luego ya los lentes. Oscuro huevo. Ándale, también guantes, eso. Más. No da. Ay, cabrón. No, pues me fue bien. Una foto antes que se vayan para.
Sí, porque los guantes que trae usted ya estaban enseñando los dedos ya. Pues se llegó la hora de despedirnos.
Se va la negra, chinga. Jaló con ganas. Lo bueno que me da gusto que el cliente va bien contento, echó sus ceros y está bien contento con el acabado y cómo jaló la troquita. Ese es el punto aquí. Se vaya contento. A la carrera no.
Ahí estamos, no nos despedimos, al rato nos vemos. ¿10 horitas, Yar?
Dice que son 10 horas hasta allá, hasta Nuevo México.
Mira, hasta con gorra nueva, ya hasta se ve diferente.
Me dejó varias, no nomás una. Bueno, eso se siente bonito de que el cliente se va bien contento. Eso es lo bueno, eso es lo bueno. Pero hay que festejar, trajimos unas botellitas, una cervecita allá de México y ahorita hay que echarnos unas dos para festejar.
Puro huevito de toro.
Yes, sir.
¡Ay!